we're going to start off with a quick welcome. I'll introduce our guest panelists. We'll do a quick panel presentation and we'll do closing remarks and a Q&A if we have time at the end. Without further ado, I'll get started. You can click to the next slide. Next slide, please, Takima. And while we do that, I'll go ahead.
Can you see the slide changing?
I don't. Do you all see the slides? No, they didn't change for us either. So I'll give you all just a brief historical context as we're bringing that up. We talked about, oh, there it is. That's actually the Georgia Association of Women Lawyers president for the 2021-22 year, Tina Folsom. And we're just so grateful for her leadership. And this Path to Empowerment series actually started under our immediate past president, Veronica Cope, Judge Cope, out of Gwinnett State Court. But Tina has been instrumental in continuing the topics in the context. So we're really grateful for her leadership. But we're going to jump right into some of the historical context that we've kind of reviewed if you've been at the previous Power Empowerment events. In 1894, the first woman state legislator was elected to serve in the U.S. legislature, and she was from Colorado. In 1896, the first woman senator, Martha Hughes Cannon, was elected to the Utah State Senate. In 1916, Minnie Hale and Betty Reynolds Cobb, along with Mary C. Johnson, became the first women lawyers in Georgia. And then over a century ago, in 1920, the 19th Amendment was adopted, guaranteeing women all the right to vote. And as a result of the suffrage movement, we have become more and more politically empowered. We have statistics that show since 1971, the number of women serving in state legislatures has more than quintupled. Georgia actually has one of the highest percentages of women lawmakers of any legislature in the South, and we lead the nation in the number of Black female legislators who actually represent 16.9% of the legislature. Next slide. In 1977, we have Judge Dorothy Talk Beasley, who was on our panel for our first ever Path to Empowerment series. She became the first woman appointed and then elected to the State Court of Fulton County. In 1992, we have Governor Zell Miller appointed our dear Justice Leah Ward Sears as the first woman and first African-American female Chief Justice of our state Supreme Court. Then we have just recently, District Attorney Fonnie Wills of Fulton County, first female district attorney in Fulton County. There we have a past, I'm sorry, if you go back, Rebecca Grice, we skipped her. She was on, our last panel. She is the first female Bibb County Solicitor General. And we also have District Attorney Jones, who is the first African-American female district attorney in Chatham County down there near Savannah. So as you can see, we are progressing. We are now 38% of the judiciary in Georgia. 38% of the judicial seats are held by women now. In 2016, it was at 27%, as you can see. And with regards to the legislature, we went from 18.6% in 1999, and now we make up 32.6% in 2021 as far as the legislature. So that's kind of what we discussed in the prior two sessions. But the question now that we're considering is, what do we need to get to where we want to be? If we want more female representation, what do we need? And I think a big part of that is talking about the resources that we actually have. And that's why our illustrious panel is here today. So I would take just a brief moment to introduce them. And if we could go to the next slide, our first honorary guest panelist is Judge Martinez. If you can go, I think we're having some, there we go, thank you. Judge Martinez serves as a judge in the State Court of DeKalb County. She was sworn into this position on January 18, 2022 by Governor Brian Kemp, making her the first Latina to serve as a judge in a court of record in the state of Georgia. She does so many fascinating things. It's so hard to narrow it down. But one of the things I did want to highlight is that she is a co-founder and president of the Georgia Latino Law Foundation, GLOF. And that's an organization that serves to increase diversity in the legal profession by supporting the Latino legal community. They have awesome events. They have Law Day, Leadership Academy. They have a mentoring program, fellowship program, and a virtual judicial internship program. She serves on the board of the Georgia Hispanic Bar Association and the Judge Clarence Cooper American Inn of Court, where she's serving as president for the 2021-22 bar year. And she is here today as a representative of the Georgia Hispanic Bar Association. So thank you, Judge Martinez. We'll go on to our next speaker. We have attorney Jamala McFadden, partner at the Employment Law Solution, McFadden Davis LLC. She's actually a founding partner of that organization, and that ELS actually partners with employers to identify, minimize, resolve workplace legal issues, from advice and counseling to representation and class action litigation. Her reputation precedes her. If you are a GABWA member, you've probably heard her name umpteen times. I think I knew your name from GABWA before I knew you personally. She was GABWA's president in 2011. She created and launched GABWA's Judicial and Public Office Academy. She's a Georgia Supreme Court appointee to the Judicial Qualifications Commission and a Cobb County Board of Commissioners appointee to the Development Authority of Cobb County. And in 2019, she served as president of the Atlanta Legal Aid Society's Board of Directors. She's an alumni of Leadership Atlanta and Presidential Leadership Scholars Program. So thank you for joining us, Ms. McFadden. Our next guest speaker, we have Ms. Angela Sue. She's counsel at Bryan Cave Leighton Paisner. She represents a range of public and private companies, both domestic and international, as a trusted advisor. She handles commercial real estate, joint ventures, and acquisitions and divestitures. Prior to joining Bryan Cave, she was vice president of the legal department at Duke Realty Corporation for 16 years. She served on the board of Regional Leadership Foundation and the Emory University Board of Visitors. She was also president of the Georgia chapter of the Organization of Chinese Americans from 1997 to 1999. She was also chairwoman of the board of the Georgia Commission on Equal Opportunity from 2015 to 2021, and was president of the Georgia Asian Pacific American Bar Association from 2020 to 2021. She's here today as a representative of GAPABA. So thank you for joining us. Then we have Candace Jones-Smith. Candace is very dear to me. She is partner at Lewis Brisbois. She is a member of their general liability practice. She maintains a robust practice representing several Fortune 500 companies and insurance carriers, along with a major metropolitan transit authority. She focuses on insurance defense, premise liability, personal injury, and medical malpractice matters. With regards to community engagement, Candace is all over the place. She recently served as president of the Atlanta Gate Cities Bar Association. She's their immediate past president. That is the oldest African-American bar association in the state of Georgia. She was named a Super Lawyer Rising Star for 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. She was also listed on the 2014 Lawyers of Color Hot List for the Southern region. Additionally, she's active in the Georgia Defense Lawyers Association, Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, and Alpha Kappa Sorority Incorporated. She's here on behalf of Gate City today. So thank you, Candace. And last but not least, we have, and you are not District Attorney of Chatham County, Elizabeth. So sorry, Elizabeth Story. She's an associate at Parker Pro. and she represents clients in real estate litigation with a focus on eminent domain and condemnation. She primarily helps guides property and business owners through phases of eminent domain proceedings, including jury trials, mediations, acquisitions, closing, and special masters hearings. She's currently serving as the VP of Leadership with the Georgia Association of Women Lawyers. She's also the immediate past president of the GAWL Foundation. She's a member of the firm's Community Service Committee as well. So thank you for being here, Elizabeth Story. Okay, so we're going to move on to our first question to our panelists, which is, please tell us a little bit about your respective bar organization and its historical significance to the Georgia bar. And we'll start, I'll actually start in the order that I presented you. So I'll start with Judge Martinez.
Hi, everybody. It's an honor to be here tonight with this amazing panel. I think Angela and I already take our show on the road. This is the second panel we've sat on together in less than a week. So I'll have my people call your people, Angela.
I was thinking of stalking you.
No, I think we make a good team. About the Georgia Hispanic Bar Association. It started in the early 1990s, and it was created by a group of Latino attorneys that saw the need for Latinos to band together and create opportunities for us in the profession. Amazingly enough, Judge Wong in DeKalb County was one of our founding members. So kudos to him for seeing the need for these affinity groups. We are continuing to grow. According to the ABA, only 5% of lawyers are Hispanic and only 2% of lawyers are Latino women. So there is a great need for Latino women in the profession, especially in light of the fact that in Georgia, for example, we make 10 to 12% of the population and growing. So there's a huge need for Latinos in Georgia, and the GHBA has been a great place to form a community. I served as president in 2012 and 2013. And while I was president of the Georgia Hispanic Bar, I realized that we were not doing enough to help our Latino legal pipeline. I saw that our law students were sort of left out in the wind to figure out life on their own. And I remember my own experiences. I remember being a second-year associate at a firm and sitting down for our introductory orientation and then talking about billable hours. And it was the first time I'd ever heard the term. And I almost walked out right there. I could not fathom living my life in 6-minute increments, but I didn't know what I had gotten myself into. So we started the Georgia Latino Law Foundation to prepare Latinos that have an interest in a legal career, to empower them with information and connections. And we have been doing that for 7 years now. It's been an amazing ride. We have given over $100,000 in fellowships. We have created the judicial internship program, which I started back in 2020 when the COVID hit and everybody was losing their internships. I reached out to lots of my judge friends and asked them to please take some of these law students. They were more than willing to do so. And they opened the door for 27 law students that first summer. It was an amazing experience, and the law schools and the judges have asked us to keep going. So this year we are placing another 20-something students, and we're very, very excited. I think that's it. What else? What else do you want me to share?
I think you hit on everything. That was amazing. Thank you. Attorney McFadden.
Hi, and please call me Jamala. I am here on behalf of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys. And before I describe GABWA, I just want to say how happy I am to be here. And I love it when we can come together like this. What a powerful program, because we are our greatest resources, and we are so much stronger together. I didn't have an opportunity to sit in on the prior panels, but one thing I heard you talk about is ways that we can empower each other. And one of the things that I believe in wholeheartedly is the shoulder tap. I tell my sister Karima, have you thought about state court in Cobb County? You would be great at that, because sometimes we don't see ourselves that way, but others see it in us. And so I try to practice that too. If you see somebody will be good at something, not only let them know, let people who make the decisions know too, to keep certain people on your radar. So if we can all do that kind of thing for each other, I think that would go a long way. So back to GABWA. GABWA was founded in 1981. We celebrated our 40th year last year. Our founders were Justice Leah Ward Sears, Judge Benzonetta Tipton Lane, and Judge Barbara Harris, who recently passed. And so all three of them became judges along the way, not when GABWA was first started. And so we've got our roots in judges and other office holders. So this topic is something that is near and dear to us. But every day, GABWA strives to fulfill its mission to nurture, support, and galvanize the power of Black women attorneys, advocate for women and children, and empower our communities. And so our service in the judicial and public office realm is just an extension of our mission. I served as GABWA president in 2011, and I was the 30th president, and it was quite an experience, and it was a good time. I can't believe now, looking back, it's been over 10 years now since I served in that role. One of the things that I did, and we'll get back to this, I know, is develop the Judicial and Public Office Academy for GABWA. So we will hit on that, but I'm just glad to be here and representing GABWA. We also have several GABWA members on the call. Our president, Shariki Jones, is on the line too, along with the JPOA co-chairs, Jaquita and Pamela. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for your support, for being here today. Thank you again, Jamala. So we'll move on. I believe my next was Miss Sue.
Yeah. Hi.
Angela.
Yeah, it's Angela Shu. Yeah. So I was one of the earliest members of GAPABA in 1990. It was formed in 1993 by Judge Wong and Professor Natsu Saito at GSU and Lisa Chang. So anyway, yeah, it's been this really robust organization. Particular to running for office, there is a public service committee that is very active with GAPABA, and the public service committee does a couple things. So it does a couple events a year typically. There are candidate events. There are events that are just kind of like resources where people talk about running for office, and those are generally kind of low cost or free. And then there's an endorsement policy. So GAPABA has a policy whereby people who are involved in GAPABA can approach the organization for an endorsement for nonpartisan elections, like judgeships, and that's actually pretty actively used. I'll give a shout out to GABWA. When I had appeared in front of the JNC, the Judicial Nominating Committee, they actually identify GABWA as one of the organizations that they feel like provides a really useful service. So as they're sitting around, like it's a group of people sitting around the table looking at all these candidates, and they literally take GABWA's surveys of all the candidates, because GABWA does a survey of its members, I believe, and submits that to them. And so they said, why can't all these organizations do the same? Well, GAPABA at this stage doesn't have the resources to do that, but we're very inspired by GABWA's example. And hopefully, GAPABA will be doing that someday soon. The other thing that the GAPABA does in terms of resources is that there's a nominations committee, and so there's a committee that nominates its members, GAPABA members, for prestigious awards inside the legal community and outside the legal community. So I think that's something that's a very useful thing to kind of raise the profile of the members. But I think if you're running for office, I think one of the most important things is building a network. And I think all these organizations offer enormous opportunity to build your network, to get to know people, to find resources. And so that, I think all these organizations serve that function. And what I love about, our Georgia community of all these organizations is that, like, I have friends in all of them, and we stay in close contact with each other. And I think that's just really exciting and wonderful. That's something, and I think probably a little unique about, about the members of the Georgia Bar. All these affinity groups and all these organizations, we're supportive of each other, and I think that's, that's really outstanding.
I second that, Angela. It's very, I think there was probably one email I sent to a member of each of your organizations, and it was an email right back immediately. There was no delay or hesitation or anything. So I totally agree. Candace?
Good evening, everyone. I too want to just take time to say thank you for inviting me to represent Gate City tonight, Karima. I really appreciate it. And I'm honored to be a part of a panel with folks that I've seen along the way, went to law school with, and just really have sought to be mentored by or even associated with. So to sit on a panel with you all, I really appreciate that. I am the immediate past president of the Gate City Bar Association. As Karima mentioned, we are the oldest minority bar association in the state of Georgia. We were founded in 1948 by 10 attorneys. And at the time, the attorneys got together and realized that there was opportunities for Black attorneys to support the growth and nurturing our litigation skills, our skills as attorneys, and really just navigating through law in the 40s and 50s. And so the 10 attorneys got together and founded the Gate City Bar Association. Next year, we'll be celebrating 75 years. And it is just amazing that we've been able to do so much in 75 years, but that we have more to do. And in terms of our mission, we desire to cultivate law school students and help them in navigating the legal profession. But we also like to participate in the selection and appointment of judges. And we do that through what Angela mentioned, the JNC, and providing our feedback to the JNC once the short list of candidates has been identified and published, so that we can provide support to ensure that minority attorneys and attorneys of color are considered to be in the race as well, as we make up a large percent of the population in the Atlanta metropolitan area. Also, during my, term as president, I started the leadership organization and group, which allows us to help attorneys become leaders in the city, and not necessarily from the standpoint of judges or public office, but board appointments and leadership roles in different bar associations or affinity groups and things like that, that extend beyond what you would deem to be a leader. So it's important for us to continue to nurture attorneys at whatever stage or years they've been practicing. So our lead group consisted of younger attorneys, but also more seasoned attorneys, because we're all in the practice of law. And so we're always learning and growing. So I've been able to do that, and that will continue hopefully through the years to come. Also, through Gate City, we have the opportunity to appoint attorneys to boards positions throughout the city. So with the City of Atlanta, MARTA, and the Ethics Commission, we are able to appoint folks to those positions, and they'll serve in 2 to 3 year terms. And that again will give them exposure to public office if they intend to run or to continue to serve on boards. And lastly, as Angela mentioned, it's just about the networking. We have programs throughout the year that allow our members and student members and attorney members to interface with judges, other attorneys, And through those networking opportunities and events, people are able to get jobs, they're able to build their network. And as Jamala mentioned, that shoulder tap may come in those conversations where you'll find out, people are looking at you for certain things, or think that you would be a better candidate for certain things, or best candidate, or whatever it is. But it's being in those rooms and allowing you to have those conversations that prove to be invaluable and really can go a long way.
Thank you so much, Candace. And I would just like to flaunt that I am an inaugural member of Gate City Lead and can attest to just how great the program is, how unique that program. And Candace is very humble, so she won't tell you that she birthed that and with the help of some other really influential Gate City members, made it to come to life. And because of you, I have friends for life, very great resources for life. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So I know we'll talk a lot more about that a little later, but I'm gonna move on to Elizabeth's story, and she's representing GAWL. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, thanks Karima for inviting me on the panel. I'm honored to be representing the Georgia Association for Women Lawyers, GAWL. And I joined GAWL, I think I was part of a chapter in law school, but coming out of practice and clerking after a couple of years, I needed to find a place to plant myself to help sort of with that networking and getting support from fellow attorneys. And GAWL was the perfect home for me to find that. And I started with the GAWL Foundation, which for those of you who may not know, there's sort of two branches of GAWL. There's Big GAWL, what we call, and then there's the GAWL Foundation, which is the philanthropy arm of GAWL. So I served on that board for several years. Is now serving as immediate past president, which is a great position, but was president of the board, foundation board last year. And this year have moved over to the Big GAWL board and serving as their VP of leadership. GAWL is actually, I think, celebrating 94 years this year. So we're coming up on 100. I'll put in a little plug, like if you're not a member yet, become one before 100, because I'm sure we'll have a great party. But some of our founding members, one is one of the first females, women who graduated from law school in Georgia, and the other is the first woman who passed the Georgia bar. They both were some founding members, and I think it was 1928, which is when it was founded, and I think it was probably very clear then that there were very few and support was needed. And so that was the purpose of GAWL, was to support women, the development of women lawyers and their interests, and making sure they had the resources they needed to succeed. And so GAWL has grown exponentially, I think, across the state. And one thing that I think is really special about GAWL is, though we have a large statewide organization, there are extremely strong local chapters, which means that women across the state can feel very connected, even when they're not in the metro Atlanta area specifically. And so I think over the last several years, we've had several more chapters join under the big umbrella of GAWL. And so I think that gives, especially women attorneys who are maybe a little bit more on the outskirts and don't have sort of the strength of the bigger group support in those more low, outside of the metro areas. And I think I'll touch on this briefly, and I think we will get into this a little bit more, but GAWL definitely has several committees and opportunities that promote women leadership and growth in their own practice area. And that is, I will give a very special shout out to Karima, who, this empowerment series is a great example of that. She saw the need within GAWL, she created this, and it's a great, just through programs and public affairs committees has put together this wonderful program now for the second year. And so that's just one example of something that GAWL does. There's also neighborhood breakfasts that have become, I think maybe they're still virtual thanks to COVID, but also mentoring circles. There's leadership opportunities for young attorneys. It's never too early to start that skill set. And then we have what's called GAWL EDU, and then we have opportunities through Leadership Academy, which is for attorneys who have at least 5 or more years of experience. And so we try to create spaces for women to basically fulfill what they need to in that area or that time of their life and then that time of their practice, whether that's, serving on the leadership board this time. It's some members are looking for just like, how do I handle X at the office, to how do I juggle kids, job, husband, or whatever. And so those groups help provide that support system. And I think I've covered everything at the first question.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elizabeth. And so I do want to talk a little bit more specifically about the resources that you all have somewhat highlighted already. So my second question is, what resources does your organization offer to women interested in running for office or seeking other leadership positions with specificity? There are a lot of members that oftentimes ask, well, when is JPOA? When is the deadline? How do I find the flyer? If you're not on the GABWA list, you don't get it. And a lot of times that incites membership. So I would love if we can talk specifically about application requirements, age requirements, any other detail with regards to these specific events or programs that each organization offers. And I guess we'll start with Judge Martinez.
Thank you. I would just like to, first of all, recognize the amazing work that you are doing, because I think that exposure to these informations, to this information and these topics is the first step. I would not be in my position if it were not for the relationships that I built at the Georgia Hispanic Bar. I became a member straight out of law school. I ended up meeting Dax Lopez when I was a law student, and he has become my mentor, and he became my boss for 8.5 years. And then he is now, my consultant when it comes to being a judge. But, if it were not for meeting him and Tony Del Campo, two men who pioneered the road for me as a Latina, I would not be here. So, just being a member of these organizations is a wonderful jumping point for anyone who's interested in running for office, because I think that you meet incredible individuals who will always be your champions, and that makes all the difference. As far as what the different events that the organizations that I'm representing here have, I can tell you that the Georgia Latino Law Foundation works with law students and young lawyers, and we have a leadership academy. In the Leadership Academy, we expose law students and young lawyers to opportunities to serve the community and to serve the profession. So, our Leadership Academy starts in September and runs all the way to May. You get a mentor as part of being part of the Leadership Academy. And it has been an amazing experience because law students get a chance to meet law students in other schools. And that is a great way for them to start building those networks and those opportunities. And they also start getting to meet people who are already in the positions where they want to be. So that vision is really important, especially when you're talking about young lawyers. As far as the GHBA has a great initiatives. They have events called Mañanitas con GHBA. Mañanitas are little mornings, if you will. So spend your morning with the GHBA. And it's a great opportunity to learn about the different programs and the different projects going on around town. And it's also very much an opportunity to develop yourself as a leader. Our president this year, Jennifer Blasco, she's on the call right now. She has been phenomenal. She's done an amazing job at creating opportunities for women to get to know each other and to empower each other. And I think that that is absolutely the first step. That is that tap on the shoulder that you were talking about earlier. We had one recently with Latinas in Politics. I can tell you that Latinas in Politics in Georgia is not a big number. And that's exactly what we're trying to change. The same thing, this is the same reason why I started the GLLF, because I wanted to see more Latinas in the judiciary. And right now we have two in course of record, Dean Bucci in Paulding County and myself. So there's a lot of work for us to do, and I am excited for what's to come. As far as the GHBA, it is also in the process of putting together an event with a campaign consultant, but I don't have a lot of details on that. I will be sure to share it when we do so that we can share it with the rest of the participants.
That would be amazing if you could do that, Judge Martinez. And I've been before Judge Bucci. He's amazing, a great mentor. I think everybody in GHBA is willing to take you under their wing. So I second everything you've said in that regard. So thank you very much. And Jamala?
Sure. So I want to highlight a few things that GABWA does. One is picking up on something that both Angela and Candace mentioned. That is our work with the Judicial Nominating Commission. So GABWA has a judicial review committee, and I always direct people who are interested in judgeships to go there and serve on that committee, because that committee is charged with reviewing the applications of folks who want to be appointed from the shortlist, as Candace mentioned. And so you get a real opportunity to see kind of who else is out there, what the application looks like, how other people view the applications, and what it takes to be considered, you know, highly rated by at least our bar organization, and just to be in the conversation about what makes a good judge, what people think make a good judge. And also included in that, I chaired the Judicial Review Committee for a number of years, but I got to go before the Judicial Nominating Commission and present our findings, like Angela mentioned. And we take great pride in that, and we put in some work to do that because we believe in our reputation before the JNC. So we have brought other members along who are interested in pursuing judicial office in particular, to present before the JNC, and that is invaluable experience as well. So if you're thinking about a judgeship, I absolutely highly recommend joining our Judicial Review Committee. Other organizations like Gate City have similar bodies. The State Bar has a body also. Joyce Lewis-Gist used to chair it for a number of years. I don't know if she does anymore, but definitely be on the lookout for that to serve in those kinds of capacities. We also have a political action committee. Some of those positions are appointed, but someone made that point too, maybe it was Angela, about people who are looking for GABWA's endorsement. So to be in that room to hear again on the public office side, how people view candidates for office, what's important, how candidates present and approach organizations when they're seeking endorsements. So just sort of, you know, when you're 5 years out or so and are just looking to be in the room with these conversations, those are good opportunities to take advantage of. So our sort of premier effort in this regard is Judicial and Public Office Academy, which we've had every year, I think every year almost. I don't know if we had it during the pandemic, since 2011. And we typically have between 10 and 20 participants in the class. Our first class, for example, included Lisa Cupid, who is now chair of the Cobb County Commission. Sharmila Williams was in that first class as well too, and she recently defeated an incumbent for Fulton County Superior Court. We're very proud of the work that we're able to do in that program. It is a 5-6 week long program. Participants meet 2 days a week, historically anyway, and they hear from, it's for people who want to pursue judgeships via election or appointment, and also other public offices. So we definitely try to mix it up to make sure that there are representatives from all of those different spheres. We hear from campaign consultants, fundraising strategists, people who have been through the nomination process under this particular governor with this particular JNC, people who have served on the JNC, the JQC. We try to just make sure that people hear from a good cross-section of professionals. We also, over the years, have had experiential components to it. So especially during a campaign year season, we encourage our participants to go out and volunteer on somebody's campaign, pick up the phone and make fundraising calls. That way you can see how it is and what it takes to be a candidate, and what kind of support candidates need. So again, we're really proud of it. I think Pamela, Jaquita, if I missed anything, please jump in. I don't know if I said we're starting in August this year. August 6th will be the GAPOA will start the academy then. The applications will come out sometime this summer. You really only need to be a member of GABWA. People may not know that you don't have to be Black and you don't have to be a woman to be a member of GABWA. And so join in, see what we're about, and we hope to create, promote, empower as many people as possible to take on these offices.
Thank you. That was going to be my very next question with regards to the specifics, because I know that that is a very popular program. If I'm not mistaken.
We have information on our website too, by the
Okay.
way.
Awesome. So we will get that. We will get that information to everyone today. If you signed up, if you're here today, you'll get that information. Okay, so thank you, Jamala. We'll move right along to Angela.
Yes, so one thing for GAPABA, in order to avail yourself of resources of GAPABA, like with all these, you have to join. So become a member, and then you get on the list, and then you can see all the events that come up, and I think for the endorsement policy too, you know, that what the board and the public service committee look at in terms of giving endorsements is the connection with GAPABA. So how active someone is with GAPABA. Certainly there are people that just kind of come off the street and ask for endorsements, and they're less likely to get them if they're not heavily involved in GAPABA. They need to give some time. I think that's one thing, is that people find out that some of these organizations give endorsements and they kind of cut it close to the deadline. So you've got, you know, knowing that you've got someone who has to write a letter, you've got to submit information for endorsement. I think you've got to give it a couple of weeks in order to get that. So I think that's pretty important, because I've been in the room where there have been requests for, you know, for an endorsement like the day before it's due, and that's just a mess. The other things are, you know, networking with people who have run for office before. I mean, like there's people that are just regular at GAPABA events and regulars, and it's a great place to get to know them. You know, like BJ Pack and Zara Karenschak and Sam Park, all these guys, and I mean, I can't even name them all. Like especially at the gala, they're just people who run for office. GAPABA is known as an organization that, you know, that they need to show up at, and so they do. And it's a great place to get to know people and hear about their path. So I think that's another thing I would suggest, is just to to participate in GAPABA events where you see a lot of these people. And I think they can give you some really good personal insight. You know, ask for them to mentor you if you're running for office, and they can give you very personal insight on, you know, on what it takes.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. Candace?
Okay. Well, a couple of things. One, as you mentioned, as I touched on earlier, LEAD. So LEAD is a leadership academy that we have different sessions that we offer for our attendees. One of those sessions is affectionately labeled From the Bar to the Bench. And it's to give attorneys the opportunity to kind of figure out that process on how it is that you get to become a judge, whether that's through the appointment process, submitting applications to the governor and interviewing, or whether you're going to run a campaign. So with the Bar to the Bench, we similar to JPOA, we have attorneys that were former, or judges that were former attorneys, or that were, you know, in your position or in the position of those interested in becoming jurists, and have them explain the process on how it looks for them. We also have someone that will talk about fundraising and making those calls, and go through skits on how you can get someone to pick up the phone and they are willing to give you $200 right there, or it's kind of a pushback and you have to kind of follow up and make more touches. So we have those real life type of skits that you will go through to be able to ask your family members, friends, people that you know in your networks for money if you're seeking to run a campaign. Also, through our summer associate program, we also pair some attorneys or law school students with attorneys, but also judges. So we'll have summer associates rather, working with judges in Fulton County, DeKalb County, Atlanta Municipal Court. We've had it where someone has shared each year, had an opportunity to clerk with or serve as a summer for the judge or a few judges that are with our, I guess, I don't know what to call them. They're a part of Gate City, but our judicial section. So they'll be able to work with them to get clerkships for the summer to like get that experience. And the goal ultimately is to kind of prime the pipeline if you're interested in serving as a judge in some future capacity, or even as a law clerk, and what that looks like in terms of your path to the bench if you're interested. And lastly, what we do is we partner with the GABWA several times throughout the year to have mock interviews and resume workshops that I think also primes law school students to refine their leadership skills, to refine their skill sets as attorneys or future attorneys, and put them in the room with those people that will become either informal mentors, supporters, advocates down the line, such that, as Angela mentioned and as Anna Maria mentioned, or Judge Martinez, that you become, you develop these relationships that ultimately will kind of guide you to where you want to be. And sometimes that is replacing your boss on the bench, or having that support so that you continue to get up to the nerve to run. A lot of folks don't know how that process works. They're shy, they're scared, they know they want to become a judge, and the appointment process is intimidating, or the election process is intimidating. So it's just getting them in the rooms with folks that kind of look like them and let them know that, hey, you can do it too. I think that's important.
Thank you, Candace. And if anybody ever needs any feedback for the LEAD program, I am here. I can attest to its, the program is so unique, it's practical. I'll just sum it up in that one word. As Candace says, there are real life scenarios. There's no way you can walk away from that program and say you don't know how to start a campaign or how to fundraise. And the unique thing I think about it, from as I've done other leadership program, is that the founders of the organization, the people who have a lot of history with the organization, are just as invested in that program and just as invested in your success and seeing you win. They come to the sessions, they talk through these scenarios with you. So I highly, highly recommend that program if you're seeking any form of leadership, not just running for a campaign. If you want to be a partner at a big firm one day. Judge Cope also posted in the chat that she served on the JPOA committee as a facilitator, and she highly recommends it for anyone seeking a judgeship or public office. The program is invaluable and covers every aspect of running for office and preparing to run for office. So feedback on those two, and I'm going to pass it off to you, Elizabeth.
All right, I will be brief because I know we're getting close on time, and but I want to touch on a couple of quick things. Sort of like what Jamala was saying, GAWL also does have a judicial applicant review committee in which they meet, get feedback from members, and make their reports and findings to the JNC. And so I think that's, again, an important role that bar organizations can provide to get well qualified in a diverse bar or judgeships. I touched briefly on GAWL EDU, which is sort of GAWL's leadership program for younger attorneys coming in, and it's more of the what is a billable hour question and answer, right? How do you work those? How do you maneuver a law firm or a government job or wherever you find yourself? I really want to speak more on Leadership Academy, as I went through Leadership Academy myself, and I'm now VP of Leadership and leading a group of women through a virtual COVID Leadership Academy, which is a little weird and different from my experience. But I think, unlike some of the other leadership programs that have been discussed here, where those are very focused on sort of that end goal, giving you practical knowledge and steps, I think GAWL Leadership is sort of maybe the spot where the participants decide, I want to do this. They have a safe space to sort of explore personally what they need to be fulfilled professionally. And they have a support system to do that. There's, whether it's, motivational speakers that teach you, or big goal setting sessions that make you actually sit down and talk about your goals. I will brag, and I'm not saying that I had anything to do with it, but Judge Angela Brown, who is now Cobb County Superior Court judge, she was in my leadership class. And I feel like, it was like sort of, I remember discussions with her about sort of wanting more and how is she going to get there. And here she is and she's done it. So I think it provides, a safe and inspirational space for women to decide whether it's running for public office or, rising up in the law firm, so to speak. One other thing I'll touch on is obviously there, and this might be a good segue into the next question, but GAWL also hosts a lot of events. We have a judicial luncheon. We have our holiday party, typically at Judge Doyle's house, but we like to put attorneys with judges and make sure there is the social networking aspect that gets people in front of people you might actually be before professionally at some point, and establish those relationships. And if it's okay, Kareem, I'll just go ahead and jump straight into the one event I want to plug. Well, let me back up really quickly. For GAWL Leadership Academy, the academy year starts in January, and it's kind of a January through June with a little bit of service project at the end that can kind of go into the summer. And so applications are typically due in the November timeframe. And so you don't have to be a member to apply, but you have to be a member to participate. So we always invite people to join or to apply, and then you can always join once you become part of the academy. But I wanted to, and I wrote down the date so I would not forget it, but we are having our annual dinner and silent auction.
May 14th.
And in person, it is a sneaker ball, which means you wear your finest with sneakers. Like, thank goodness someone has finally, I'm sure it's been done before, but I thought it was a good idea. And it is Saturday, May 14th from 6 to 11. So in the past, we've been doing this event on a Thursday night, which is, sometimes fun, but like, if you really want to have a good time, book it on a Saturday night. So it's going to be at the College Football Hall of Fame. There is a ticket price, but that includes sort of your admission to tour the museum and stuff. It'll be a great event. It's it's the foundation's biggest fundraiser. Which goes to supporting our grants and scholarships for law school students. So it's a great event. I would highly encourage y'all all to attend, but there is a ticket deadline, maybe coming up at the end of the month, end of April. So
April 13th, I think.
Oh, sooner than I thought. Yeah,
Mhm.
early bird pricing ends April 13th.
Yeah.
So get them while you can. But anyway, thank you for letting me.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I am also a GAWL Leadership Academy alum. So anyone that wants to know anything about that, please reach out. I can attest to it definitely being a safe, very safe space to say, what you would like. So thank you all so much. I'll just go around one more time very, very quickly. I'll give maybe say 10 to 20 seconds for everyone. How can everyone join your organization? Are there any events that you want to highlight to the group? And before we do that, we'll start in that same order that we started with Judge Martinez. But before we do that, I do want to just recognize Judge Cope. She is on, and I did not tell you I was going to call you out, but Judge Cope actually inspired this series, the Path to Empowerment. When she was president, her theme was women empowering women. And our committee talked about that, and we turned that into this series. And our first goal is to talk about topics and issues that affect the success of women lawyers in Georgia. And she is a direct influence on this series. So thank you so much for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to support us by being here. I also want to thank all of the leadership of your organizations that are here. I see JPOA members. I see that GHBA president is on. I want to thank you all for just being here and supporting. You being on, just logging on just means the world to me, myself, because this was just a small idea in my head that I thought, hey, this would be nice, but you all just coming on and just so easily supporting the idea, I think really empowers everyone on here to do whatever they have in mind to do. So thank you all for supporting. And if if I've missed anyone, I'm so sorry, but all of the judiciary, if you're on, I can't tell, but thank you all for being here, and I really, really appreciate it. So I'll give everybody like 15 to 20 seconds to say the event that your organization may be hosting that everybody might be interested in, and how to join. And we'll start with Judge Martinez.
Joining the GHBA is very easy. Just click on the link, pay your $50, I think it is, and you're a member. It's probably one of the easiest organizations to join. The GLLF does not have a membership fee. Anybody can join. And I encourage you all, if you know any Latino law students, to tell them about the GLLF. The Georgia Hispanic Bar has 3 events coming up that I just want you to keep in mind. On April 28th, they are joining the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and heading over to the business court with Judge Walt Davis. They're going to take a tour of the Nathal Judicial Center and give them all the all of the they need to know about doing business in Georgia. And then after 2 years, the Cocktails Around Latin America is back. I am very fond of this event. I was the first organizer of it, and so it is near and dear to my heart. It is a wonderful, fun, different event. It is going to take place on August 20th at the ASW Whiskey Exchange. I put it on the chat so that you all can put it on your calendars. And in June, they are planning a CLE with the Hispanic National Bar Association, and I encourage you all to join the GHBA in these events.
Thank you, Judge Martinez. And all of that is in the chat, everybody. Okay, moving on to Jamala.
Sure, I included GABWA's web address in the chat. You can go there to join the organization and find out more information about JPOA. And I'd like to share the 10 seconds I have left with our president, Shariki Jones, who can tell you about upcoming events.
Thank you so much, Jamala, and great job, ladies. This was really informative, and I just love to see the connectivity and how everyone is working together. So GABWA has several upcoming events, one starting actually tomorrow with our 5th Thursday luncheon, where we are going to specifically address the issue of the many balls that we keep in the air, how we do it fabulously, but how we need to give ourselves grace and to learn how to draw appropriate boundaries so that we can focus on our health and well-being, so that we can continue to care about everyone else as well. During April, we will have our Gabby Talks networking series that we're going to start, which is an opportunity for members to come together and individuals just to pour into one another, figure out how we can be a support system for one another. It will be virtual, since GABWA is a statewide organization, for us to, like I said, come together professionally, figure out how we can serve as resources for one another. We will also, on Saturday the 9th, hold a membership mixer. There is more details to come about that, but it will be a time to just come together again to see one another, some of us maybe for the first time in a couple of years, and to really just learn more about the members that we have, get to know one another, and again, use that as a launching point to bond with one another. We will also have our general body meeting is typically on the 3rd Thursday of every month. So in April, we will have our April general body meeting. And tentatively right now, it will be an issue to discuss the redistricting that has taken place here in Georgia. And we will end April with what we're calling a 40+1 event to commemorate our 40th birthday last year, but because we weren't able to physically come together, we'll do that in April. So those are just a few of those events that I'll highlight for the upcoming month. And again, I thank you all for the wisdom that you've shared, and look forward to the continued connection.
Yes, thank you so much, Shariki. Okay, and we're moving on to Angela.
Yes, so GAPABA, how you join is gapaba.org. The two events that are coming up, there's a Leading Through Crisis Chief Legal Officer Roundtable. That's middle of the month. That's April 15th. It's a Zoom event. We've had some amazing Chief Legal Officer panels, GC panels. And then there's GAPABA's Women's Leadership Network Reception, which is a live event, April 20th at Nelson Mullins at 6 p.m.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. And we have one question. Is there a tentative date for the Gate City Hall of Fame? Oh, we're going to Candace next. And what is the date for the GABWA Gala? So we'll get to that when someone knows that. Or Shariki, were you going to answer that?
I was, but I just didn't want to talk out of turn.
Oh.
So the gala is July 23rd. It'll be at the Porsche Atlanta Center, and it will be from 6 to 11 on the 23rd.
Okay, thank you. And I'll turn this first question over to Candace.
Just highlighting a few events. We'll be resuming our signature events this year that will be in person. So the Community Law Clinic is going to be on May 14th at Greenbrier Mall from 12 to 4. It's an opportunity for us to provide free legal services and feedback to the community that having issues in areas of real estate, foreclosure, bankruptcy, criminal, and personal injury. So that's May 14th from 12 to 4 at Greenbrier Mall. We are taking our annual CLE trip to Greece this year. Now, the dates for that is September 2nd through the 10th. Through that program, we will also have different CLEs that will be hosted while we're in Greece. But if you're a member of Gate City or want to join Gate City, I've put the URL in the chat. Please join, and please join us in Greece if you can. Lastly, the Hall of Fame is going to be on November 5th. It will be at the Grand Hyatt, and our time will be from 6 to 11. We'll have the program where we will honor our Hall of Fame inductees, and then obviously a good after party after the program. So please, if you can, make sure you join us. If you want to join Gate City, again, the URL's in the chat, and we'll have also member-only programs throughout the year, but these are the programs that are for those who want to support Gate City.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Candace. And Elizabeth has already touched on the GAWL events, the annual dinners, and she added the GAWL website to the chat. So I just want to say thank you all so much. I want to huge shout out to Jakima Basco of Troutman Sanders and Leslie Cato Law. I know you both are on. They are my committee members, and we could not do this without each other, along with the support of our president, Tina Folsom, who was unable to be here today because of a tennis match her daughter has, and it's really, really intense. So we would just want to thank all of the organizations that participated in today's event. I cannot express in words the gratitude I have to close out this session in this way with such a fruitful panel. All of you are great leaders and phenomenal. You attracted this crowd today, but you also espoused great information. So thank you. I hope everybody got something out of today, and that everybody will go out and join all of these organizations and enjoy the fruits of all of our labor. But most of all, we want to see more women in office. We want to see more women in leadership. And this, I think, is a great start to that. So thank you all. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat. We'll stay for a couple of minutes after, but other than that, everybody is free to go. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quickly, I encourage all of you to join organizations that are different organizations than the ones that you've been engaged with. I think every one of our organizations accepts people of every ethnicity, color, gender, and the best way to support each other is really to be there for each other. So I look forward to joining GABWA and Gate City. I joined GAWL recently, and I hope that you all will consider joining the GHBA because that's the best way to support each other.
Yes, the cocktails around the world is like the best event ever. And I'm so glad that that's coming back.
Yep,
And
we'll
I
see you
mean,
there.
each of these organizations offers something like that. So everybody get out and join. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Judge Penato. Thank you, Judge Cope. Thank you, Jennifer, everybody. Thank you, Jamala. Thank you so much, Candace. Thank you, Judge Martinez. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you all. Have a great night.
You.
Bye. Oh, that's a great suggestion to structure this as a CLE to present it to the bar.